Come on, Nissan. Do you really not have one? Oh, it did have one. I was like, surely to God, let's try that again. Okay. All right. Ooh, I like the Altima SR mats. Look at that with the orange stitchings on there. All right, we've got a first aid kit and a road kit back there. All right, got a little like a little trunk storage. Oh, look at that. That's pretty nifty. All right. What have we got underneath here? You got a spare tire for us? We've got a jack, and underneath that little piece of foam down there, there's a little bitty spare tire, but yes, we've got a spare tire. Trunk space is actually pretty good. If you want to put down the rear seats, you'll pull this guy, and then you'll pull this one right here, and that should release our seat. Oh, yes. Now then, is that center? Oh, it releases the whole thing. Fantastic. I've got my seat laid back there pretty far. It's not exactly a flat floor. Well, it's not even close to a flat floor, but you could put some skis, whatever, something in there. So it does have that. I think it was the third generation. I think it was around 02, 03, the third generation, when they came out with the bigger generation. The first two generations of the Nissan Altima were kind of small. This car replaced the Nissan Stanza. And if you've never seen a Nissan Stanza, you're not missing much. It was kind of a squarey, it had pop-up headlights, so it did have pop-up headlights. It was kind of, well, one of the generations did. It was kind of a squared off little economy car. Anyway, the Altima replaced that. And the first 2 years, or the first two generations, about the first 6, 7, 8 years of this car's life, it was a lot smaller. Then the third generation came along, and long story short, when they designed the interior, it was actually larger on the interior than a Nissan Maxima. I don't know if it still is, I don't think so, but for a split second there, it was. All right, let's see here. At the base of this, remember, this is an economy car. We've got some nice leather and stitchings and everything and some good looking shoes, but at the core, this is an economy car. Hard plastic up top, hard plastic in the middle. There's a little piece of vinyl or leather right there. We got a little squishy squish right there. We've already talked about the orange stitchings. We got a water bottle holder right there. Little faux carbon fibery, whatever little thing right there. Oh, it cracks me up every time. We've got one map pocket on the back of the passenger seat, but not one on the driver's seat. I know, well, Casey, it's for the driver. I know, but how much money did they actually save? I wonder. Of course, Nissan needs to save every dollar they can right now. No offense, Nissan, I know times are tough. All right, let's go on in here. We've got some leather, and we've also got some kind of nylon-y material. 2 cup holders right there. We've got no vents on the back of that console. That's kind of disappointing. You do have a USB and a USB-C charger right in there. That's really depressing. They don't have vents on the back of that. All right, we got a couple little lights going on right there. Headroom's not bad. I'm about 6 foot, 6'1", about 280 pounds. I'm touching the roof, but I got my hat and my glasses on. Shoulder room, I'm decent. Knee room, it's not bad. It's okay back here. I could easily ride with one more person on a road trip or something like that. Possibly even 2 if the person was small. Little look at the sea right there. They just went and got a tablet and some Gorilla Glue and stuck that on the dash. But it does have a 12-inch screen right there. USB-C and a USB-D charger right there in front of the shifter. CVT transmission. We'll talk about that in a minute. Cruise control, lane part assist, lane change, keep assist, all of that stuff. It's got all the safety features. Airbags everywhere, seat belts. It's safe. I want to go ahead and talk about the CVT transmission part. The first 2 generations, they ran 4-speed automatics, and I think the second generation had a 5-speed automatic, and then they had 5-speed manuals as well. It was up until the third generation when they made the leap into the bigger car, and that's when they adopted the CVT transmission. Some people will say that was the death of this car. I don't know. Let me explain to you what we're talking about right here. CVT transmission, continuously variable transmission. This does not have a traditional transmission. That Chevrolet sitting right here on the other side of it, that has a geared transmission. There are actual gears inside the transmission, and they lock in, and that's how it sends the power from the engine to the rear end. On this, it has a belted transmission. The transmission the power is delivered by a series of belts, and those belts contract. They do their thing in there. That's a little bit more over my head. I'm sure there's a lot of videos that can tell you about that. So its entire purpose is for gas mileage. It doesn't really care about performance. To be honest with you, it could care less if it ever performed great at all. Its entire goal is mile per gallon, and it does that very well. Definitely in the high 30s in mile per gallon. I don't think you're going to get to 40, in the high 20s in the city. But CVTs, that's what a lot of people get upset. And if you know, how do I want to say this? You have to know what you're buying your car for. If you're into performance driving and you're used to driving a Mustang or a Camaro or something like that, you're not going to like this very much. But if you don't care about that, Casey, I just need something reliable, I need something that gets decent gas mileage, then this will be your car. Reliability, let's talk about that for just a second too. Is it reliable? Yes. A couple of things that CVTs do not like. CVT transmissions do not like redline. They don't like high RPMs. They don't like riding up there at 5,000 and 6,000 RPM. They hate it, actually. They'd rather be cruising along about 2,000, 2,500 RPM. And I'm pretty sure a CVT transmission would do that for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. Unfortunately, we all know that Nissan Altimas aren't driven like that most of the time. They're driven pretty hard. I do a lot of interstate driving myself, and I can't tell you how many times I have looked up into the rearview mirror and seen an Altima bearing down on the rear end of my car. But, hey, they buying their car, they doing what they want to do with it. I can't fault anybody for that. Weight. That's something else CVT transmissions can't stand. Remember, you're already at about 3,500 pounds. Once you add me in there, let's go ahead and call it 3, shall we? So now we're at like 3,800 pounds. We add some kids in there, a full tank of gas. So what I'm trying to say is we're staring at 4,500 pounds. So we're already really heavy, okay? And then if this was like a Rogue or an older Pathfinder or Murano, then you want it to tow. CVT transmissions don't like weight. They don't like pulling weight. That's not their thing. CVT transmissions, the only thing I can tell you is easy. If you're an easy driver, something like that, because there are stories of these going hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles, even 300, 400, 500,000 miles, no joke. Also, something else. A lot of your maintenance are going to tell you, as far as transmission fluid, that you want to change. One of my friends, his name is Chris, he used to be a Nissan technician. And I think that it says in the book that you should change the transmission fluid every 60,000 miles for a CVT. He says you should cut that in half. Now, that's just his opinion, and you do whatever you want to, but you want to keep first of all, you want to keep your fluids changed anyway. That's how you make a car last, is maintenance. And changing the fluid, that's how you make a car have longevity. Anyway, changing the transmission fluid, keeping that nice pink lathery goodness in there for those belts to slip and slide on, it will make your Nissan Altima happier. There, we were just talking about fuel economy. The average is 35.4. If I'd have been any kind of a smart person, instead of buying my Challenger, I would have bought this. 35.4. That is 13 miles per gallon on the average better per 1 gallon. So let's see, let's call it 12. Let's call it 15 gallons. 1 times 1, that's 100. Then 5 times 2, that's another 100. So 200 extra miles per tank. Man, I'm wasting a lot of money, aren't I? The amount of gas I would save would almost pay for the car. That might be something to think about. Anyway, the Nissan Altima is fantastic. It is what it is, and it does what it does. If interstate driving and just cruising and you're not abusive on your car, I think a Nissan Altima would last you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. If you're going to be rough on it and treat it like you're qualifying for Daytona, I think the longevity won't be there, but it should last a good 50,000 miles anyway. Thank you so much for watching the video, and have a hobbly.